Hi everybody, welcome back to another Animal Crossing video, and today I'm going to be doing a speed build of Judy's house, and here I'm just terraforming a bit, and Judy's house is going to be up there where that rectangle is, and then across there, about jumping distance, is going to be what I plan to do, is put in a little art area where you can just jump across, sit down, and I hope you enjoy this speed build. I've been thinking of doing a speed build because, I don't know, I just felt like it, and I'm just trying, right now I'm just trying to figure out where I want to put Judy's house. So I had this area up here, which used to be just this big cliff area, but I decided to put a drawbridge from, well, more of a rickety bridge or whatever you'd like to call it, from my campsite. So I decided to put it there just because it looks cool. And what happened was I ended up having, I didn't like the terraforming. I've been slowly redoing my island, and so I decided to change it a bit. And so Judy's house, I had this perfect spot for her, and I immediately thought of her. And also, it's on the beach. If you climb, you can see the beach, I guess. But I hope you enjoyed this. So I usually roll down the snowballs because the snowballs you can't build or anything on it. It really annoys me. But this is my first speed build video, so if you guys want me to continue, just let me know. And this is me trying to find if I should put Judy's house there. In the end, Judy's house does end up in that spot, but I do reconfigure the cliffs around it. But I find Judy's, if you guys want more speed build videos, I'll make more. I just want to know if you're more interested in me doing more tours or me doing more building, because I normally do my building off Wi-Fi or off camera. And so if you guys would like me to, to keep doing this, I'll try. So I've redone about a quarter of my island, but I don't think there's many houses that will stay. I did Whitney, Bo's, and Eric's house. Now I'm working on Judy's. I don't think my house is going to stay there, if you can see it in the distance. But here's me just trying to figure out the layout and stuff. And I decided to put, there's still going to be a waterfall there. I just decided to do it as a nice separation. And because honestly, you need, I find if your island has no water terraforming, it's not really the same, but if you have no cliff terraforming and only water terraforming, then it's not the same either. I find you just gotta configure everything, I guess, and I'm just gonna keep working on this structure. I'll start talking again, I guess, when I'm kinda done with the layout. So as I continue terraforming, I'm just trying to make this ledge big enough for Judy's house, because I don't want her house to be I want our property to be big enough to add a path and that kind of stuff. But also have to be careful because on the other side, I have to make sure there's paths to the beach, because this is my only path to the beach, which I kind of like because it's kind of secretive, and I haven't done Red's, so I think this is kind of gonna help me with building Red's beach and the entrance. And so that tree, I put that tree down, and I really liked that tree there. But then Judy's house decided to take it away from me. And I got really sad because I loved the tree. And so what happened was I had to dig up the tree and move it over one spot so the tree wouldn't die, because I honestly really like pine trees and I don't want them to just go, you know what I mean? So I think I'm just trying to figure out the layout of how I want, not the path exactly, but what I want for the house, if you get what I'm saying. And so it turns out I couldn't build a waterway there, so I just had to go, because that would have been really cool, but 2 waterfalls is still good, right? Anyways, I put a lot of azalea bushes around, and yeah. So this, I'm starting to work on the art area, which I put this tree here because, well, and I added this blanket. I wanted to add a tree because I want it to feel more of like a picnic area, if you get what I'm saying, rather than like a full, I don't know, I prefer when I put trees and stuff. I don't know. And this took me a little bit to make. It was very, very hard because it wasn't so much the terraforming, it was because I had such a small space. So I decided to put Judy's house down because I'm like, I'm putting it there anyways. That square's been there forever, so why not just like keep it there? So my little dude was like, hooray! And then I came back working on this. This for me was very, very, very hard because I didn't know exactly what I knew I wanted an art area, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted for my art area. But I wish they would let us build like sky bridges sort of thing rather than a drawbridge. I don't know. But I put some, I used mostly azaleas, but then I put some hibiscus and other plants because, well, yeah. And so over there's my campsite, but I made sure to make like, there was a bunch of trees, so when you're at Judy's house, you couldn't really see it. But it was kind of, I just wanted to add something over here because I was gonna add an art area over here even if I didn't, you know what I mean? And I'm just trying to figure out what I want for this area. I'm putting my, my music thing, my phonograph or whatever it's called, and I'm picking some music. I did KK Aria, I think that's called. I don't know, it just sounded like something Judy. I caught Judy actually singing to it the other day after I made it, and Judy's down there. I feel like Judy knows we're like building her house area, even though when I first started this video she was there and I hadn't even like bought her, like paid her plot or whatever. But I'm glad she's kind of staying down there because it kind of annoys me when villagers, because almost all the time the villagers are like, ooh, I'm gonna sit there, you know what I mean? So I struggled with this painting a lot because this is such a tight space, and I just didn't, this area I didn't really have like an idea or anything. I just wanted a painting area for Judy because she's snooty. Judy's snooty. That's how I remember she's snooty. I know, it's a weird trick, but eventually I figured it out. I moved. I just couldn't decide because I wanted to like make it a seating. I don't know. But eventually I got it, and I love that little tea area. I eventually swapped some things out, and I had Mom's candles, and it was just all pretty. I ended up just trying to figure this out, if you get what I'm saying. It was very, very hard because, oh, and then I put the song back on. It was just very, very hard, I found, and then this cushion, that's one of my designs. I made it back before when I used no QR codes and I only used them for stalls. Like, you should have seen that. But then I just don't really make many anymore. It was sort of just out of boredom, I guess. I don't know, not boredom exactly. Just I didn't have, it was so empty in my thing. Anyways, so I'm trying to figure out what I want to do here. And so I ended up putting the, like, just fixing it up, like putting a wedding chair here. I have a little bit of extra stuff, a wedding stuff. I really liked the wedding, but then I ended up forgetting, just being too lazy to do it. And then I regret it because I didn't realize how much I love all the wedding stuff. So like on the last couple of days I just spent a lot of money, but I wish they added more candles in the game. Anyways, so that's how it ended up looking, and then I said goodnight, and I woke up the next morning, and I added a bit of the path before I started recording just to get, just to figure out what I wanted to do with the space. and it looked a lot better during the day because over here, like, I couldn't really see anything. It's not because at night it's a lot harder to tell, and anyways, I was just playing around with the area, and then I wanted to put something in front of here because it kind of fit. I didn't want to put the path there. I didn't want to put a flower. I find a lot of people put flowers, and I was just trying to figure out what to put here. I didn't end up putting this plant here. I ended up putting a bear with a teacup, which I thought was really cute and was 100% Judy because she's a cub, and cubs remind me of teddy bears. And yeah, so what I find is, even though that bear ends up going there, and just Judy's house was kind of a spur of the moment thing, and also here I just keep working on it, and see, I'm slowly working on it. And here I added a flamingo. I don't know, I feel like she likes flamingos, and I added a little pond for the flamingo because flamingos, they normally are in water, right? So anyways, I slowly added the path, and then I started working up here. I had to sort of extend it, and that's why I'm covering up the waterway, because I figured out that it wasn't big enough for what I wanted. But honestly, her whole house was trial and error, and eventually I just got it working, and I really enjoyed it at the end. Up here, this tree I had to put down and up a couple of times until it's ended up in the same place. But for example, I wanted to put a clothesline in front of it, and I ended up not being able to because the tree was there, and and I couldn't. It was just all a disaster, and I just wasted two or three apples or fruit or whatever. I don't really have any fruit trees anymore. I took a lot of them away, and then there's me trying to churn this, but turns out all I had to do was just, my brain clicked in and it was like, oh, let's just pick it up. And so in a few moments I'll pick it up instead, because I'll realize, oh, I can't churn this. And then I picked it up and I put it in front of me, and then I pushed it forward, and I kept it forward. I think it looked good forward. And then my tree didn't want to go back, so I had to get my shovel out to do it, and this actually looked really good, I found, because I had a few things that I'd added at her old house. I don't know, I just added quite a few things, and it was like there was like a shell partition I added, and there's a street light. Honestly, this was just a trial and error sort of thing, as most. Don't let, honestly, this took me probably an hour to do. But this video I cut, I fast forward, it was just a lot of work, but I finally did it, and just this area was all trial and error. So as you can see, I did a mesh partition, and your whole thing doesn't have to be covered like mine is. Some people like the I love cluttercore, even though I'm not cluttercore. I'm like something, I don't know what I am. So I like covering all my surfaces, also so that no weeds get in and all that kind of stuff. So see, look how good it looked. And over there and here, I wanted to put a wedding bench here, but it wasn't really working out with the bear, so I ended up moving the bear, as I told you, right in front of Judy's sign. But this whole area was trial and error. And I also put an apple tree there. I liked the thought of just mixing it up, and because I don't know, I might change it in the future. See, I gave the bear a cup, and so I continued the path. I wanted to work on this because, I don't know, I just wanted to extend the path. I was gonna actually make it go all the way around, but then what happened was it was just such a big lump of space. It just wasn't worth it. So in the end, I just ended up putting a little chair there, and over there I shortened it. You won't see that. I added that on my own time, but it's just I added a bunch of stuff and made it work. It was entirely trial and error, but what I find is if you're in winter doesn't really, like some paths, it doesn't really, doesn't really click with, and sometimes the trees look like everything changes in winter. It's the same with houses in real life. So don't base your, I wouldn't suggest basing your island off of winter, because that's not your main seasons. But I just suggest sticking with, and I wanted to put this wedding bench here, as I mentioned, and the bear kept getting in the way, and it was very, very trial and error. So yeah, I tried to put it on here, and then that didn't work, and it was just all trial and error. And you can see my campsite. I redid my campsite because I wasn't happy with it at all. Because you see my campsite, I just never liked my campsite, honestly. So I ended up not liking that plant. That plant, it just didn't match. I was mad that it didn't match Judy's house. So I ended up just putting a mama bear here, and then moving the coffee cup and putting it here instead. And it ended up looking really good because it seemed and that's about it. That's Judy's house. I hope you all had an amazing time, and